These are the top 7 filament types you need to know about in 3D printing. These filaments are the most widely used and the most popular among people in the hobby. Each one behaves differently, each one has its own strengths, and each one excels at different kinds of prints. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what each material is used for, the types of prints people commonly make with it, and a few simple printing tips that will help you avoid mistakes. Once you understand these, choosing the right filament type becomes much easier.
By the way, my name's Chris, and this is my 3D printing sanctuary. If you like 3D printing, then chances are you're gonna love this channel.
The first filament is PLA, and it's the most commonly used material by beginners because it's easy, forgiving, and very reliable. PLA is made from plant-based materials, which helps it print at lower temperatures and stay stable during long prints. It sticks to the bed without much effort, the layers bond cleanly, and warping is rarely an issue when the bed is level. People use PLA for decorative prints and projects where strength is not the main goal. This includes figurines, signs, models, cosplay props, helmets, and display pieces. If you scroll through online communities and see detailed character prints, a huge percentage of those are printed in PLA. It's also great for learning because even budget printers handle it well without much tuning. Over time, hobbyists usually move on from PLA when they start needing parts that handle heat, stress, or outdoor conditions better. PLA can soften in warm environments and become brittle over time, which limits its use for functional parts. A simple printing tip is to run the bed around 60 degrees and the nozzle close to 200. PLA also prefers a clean build surface, so wiping the bed with alcohol helps if parts start lifting. When the filament is dry and the printer is dialed in, PLA delivers very consistent results.
I think it's also worth noting that PLA has the widest selection in colors. So they have what's called silk PLA, that actually has like a fluorescent shine to it, which is really cool. Then we have two-sided PLA. See, this side is red, and if you flip it, this side is black. It makes for really cool 3D prints. Then we also have rainbow PLA, which completely changes colors throughout the roll. Here's an example of what these colorations could look like. Like, look at that. It's absolutely crazy. There's pretty much any color imaginable, even glow-in-the-dark PLA. I think that's a huge advantage.
Next on the list is PETG, and this is usually the first material people move to after PLA once they want stronger, more functional prints. PETG is made from a durable plastic similar to what's used in water bottles and food containers, which gives it better toughness and flexibility than PLA. It bends more before breaking, the layers bond extremely well, and it holds up better under everyday use. People choose PETG for parts like brackets, mounts, bins, organizers, holders, and other functional prints that need to last. It's commonly used for household items such as replacement fridge parts, clips, and practical pieces that see regular handling. PETG also handles light outdoor use better than PLA. One thing it's known for is stringing, which shows up as thin hair-like strands if settings are not dialed in. Slowing print speeds and adjusting retraction gradually usually fixes that. PETG typically prints best with a nozzle temperature between 230 and 250 and a bed temperature between 70 and 85. It also prefers less cooling than PLA, so turning the fan down can improve layer bonding. Once you understand how it behaves, it becomes one of the most useful materials for functional 3D prints. When PETG first became popular, the color selection was pretty limited and mostly focused on basic solid colors. That was one reason people often chose PLA for more decorative prints. As PETG has grown in popularity, manufacturers have expanded the color lineup quite a bit. You can now find a lot more colors. That said, PETG is still mostly offered in solid practical colors. That's because PETG is usually chosen for functional parts where durability and strength matter more than appearance. Now let's talk about ABS. This material has been around for years and is known for strength and heat resistance. A lot of functional parts are made with ABS, especially pieces that live in hot environments. People use it for automotive parts, tool components, enclosures, robotics pieces, and anything that needs toughness. ABS can be frustrating for beginners because it warps easily when exposed to drafts or sudden temperature drops. That's why an enclosed printer makes such a big difference. When the temperature inside stays stable, ABS prints much more reliably. Another thing to note is that ABS releases fumes. They're not dangerous with proper ventilation, but it's something to be aware of if your printer is in a small room. Here's a helpful tip. Don't use too much cooling. Fans can make the part shrink unevenly, which leads to warping or cracking. Let the part finish and cool down slowly inside the enclosure before removing it. That small step dramatically improves success rates with ABS. Next on our list is ASA. This material behaves very similarly to ABS, but has one major advantage. It handles sunlight extremely well. ASA doesn't fade, crack, or get brittle when exposed to UV light. That makes it a fantastic option for outdoor parts. If you're printing car vent clips, mirror caps, outdoor signs, garden hooks, or anything that sits in the sun, ASA is the smarter choice. It prints best in a warm enclosure just like ABS. People say it warps much less than ABS, which makes it slightly easier to work with. One tip that helps is letting your enclosure preheat a little before starting the print. A warm print chamber helps prevent curling on the corners. If you've ever printed something for the yard and watched it slowly deform in sunlight, ASA fixes that problem. Now let's move on to TPU. This filament is flexible, bendy, and feels almost rubber-like. When you need something that won't crack under pressure, TPU is the material you want. It's perfect for phone cases, straps, small wheels, vibration dampeners, gaskets, and anything that needs to absorb shock. TPU behaves very differently from rigid filaments because it's soft. It feeds better through direct drive printers since the filament path is shorter. Bowden setups can print it, but you need much slower speeds. If you print TPU too fast, it can bunch up or jam. Keeping your nozzle around 220 and slowing down your movement speed gives you a clean result. Another tip is to turn down retraction. TPU doesn't like aggressive retraction movements. Once you dial in your printer, TPU becomes incredibly fun to use because the finished parts feel completely different from everything else you print. Next is nylon. This is one of the strongest and most reliable materials for functional parts on a consumer machine. It handles friction well, absorbs impact, and naturally resists cracking. When people need parts that hold up over time, they choose nylon. It's great for gears, hinges, drone arms, mounts, and mechanical components that take abuse. The biggest challenge with nylon is moisture. It can absorb water from the air faster than almost any other filament. When that happens, the print quality drops and you'll see puffing or hear popping sounds while it extrudes. Using a filament dryer or a dry box makes a dramatic difference. Nylon prints best around 250 on the nozzle with a warm bed. Keeping it dry is the #1 factor for clean results. If you need a part that lasts a very long time, nylon is easily one of the best materials you can choose. The last material is carbon fiber blends. These filaments are not pure carbon fiber. They're normal materials like PLA or nylon with tiny chopped fibers mixed into the base. Those fibers increase stiffness, reduce flex, and give prints a clean matte finish. They also help reduce warping, which makes larger parts more stable. People use carbon fiber blends for drone frames, camera mounts, printer upgrades, brackets, and structural parts where strength matters without adding a lot of weight. There is one important thing to know before printing with these materials. The fibers are abrasive and will wear out a brass nozzle quickly. A hardened steel nozzle or a ruby tip works much better. With the right nozzle installed, carbon fiber blends produce parts that look professional right off the printer. The surfaces come out clean and the material stays stable throughout the print. If you want prints that feel premium and hold their shape extremely well, these blends are a great choice. Now, before we finish up, I want to talk about filament brands, because this is one of the biggest questions people ask. Everyone wants to know which brand is the best, but the honest answer is there really isn't one single best filament brand. Most well-known brands make good filament, and even budget brands can produce great prints when the filament is dry and the printer is dialed in. What matters more than the logo on the spool is consistency, diameter accuracy, and proper storage. A well-tuned printer with average filament will usually outperform a poorly tuned printer with expensive filament. Another thing to keep in mind is that every brand can have an occasional bad roll. That doesn't mean the brand is terrible, it just happens in manufacturing. The best advice I can give is to find 1 or 2 brands that work well with your printer, stick with them, and focus on dialing in your settings. I'll throw some links down below to a few of my personal favorite brands that I use and have had good luck with, but dry filament and good calibration will always matter more than chasing the most expensive spool. Hopefully this video helped you learn about the top 7 filament types you need to know about in 3D printing. Each material has a purpose, and once you understand when to use each one, your 3D printing results get way better. Before you head out, make sure to check out this really cool video I made on how to use AI to create 3D models in seconds. It's surprisingly easy, and you don't need any design experience at all. Anyone can use it to create models for personal projects or even models to sell. It's on the screen now, guys. You can turn any image into a 3D model in seconds. It's absolutely crazy.